today with Congressman Steve King, a native Iowan who we're very proud of. Steve, everybody in the world is interested in your rabid raccoon story. If you could retell that story, and then I'm sure there'll be some other questions when you're finished.
Well, yes, I mean, everybody has a blizzard and it's snow everywhere. In fact, in all 50 states, for the first time in history, there's snow on the ground in all 50 states. And at my place, I'd come home, and Marilyn told me that 2 or 3 days earlier, there was a raccoon that in the middle of the day was trying to get into our house. And so that concerns me because raccoons are nocturnal animals. And if they're out during the day, it can be distemper, it can be rabies, and it's a longer shot that it would be some driving hungry that would cause them to act irrationally. So I was in the living room on a conference call, and we have glass on 3 sides, and this raccoon came down a big drift that's several hundred feet long and 10 feet or more tall. And I watched him come down, and he went to the house and around next to the house. It's hard to concentrate when you're on a conference call. Then he climbed the willow tree. We have a big willow tree. Stayed up there, which was fine. Then he came back down, and I said, I have to end the call because I can't let this crazy coon run off and have to face him again at a time when I'm not ready. And so I went and grabbed my gun, opened the sliding door. He was right there. He got around the house. So I went out the other way and ran around the house the other direction where we met, and that's where it had to happen. And so my Desert Eagle, which is actually a 9mm because the ammo was cheap, was the weapon that I used, and it protected my house like anybody else would that has common sense and a gun.
Yes, well, rabid animals are a definite threat to the rest of the animal population, as well as to humans. I understand you have grandchildren that have occasion to be playing in your yard. So.
I have grandchildren, 4 grandchildren that are from 5 years on down to 1-year-old, and they do go out and play in the snow. But I couldn't wait, and spring comes, that same animal could possibly be around there, although he wouldn't be alive if it were rabies. I have 2 neighbors that have had to take rabies shots. So, you know, we're familiar with having to watch out for irrational acting animals. And it's probably not a big surprise that PETA would object, but I would wonder how they would get along if it were their house, if they would have opened the door and invited the raccoon into the house and maybe fed him a meal. But I offered to PETA, if you find yourselves lost in a blizzard out by my place, just ring the doorbell, please. I'll give you a warm place to stay for the night, and I'll serve you bacon and eggs for breakfast.
Tell us a little more about the demise of the raccoon, if you would. As you said, you shot it, but there is a process that rural Iowans are relatively familiar with as far as sending those carcasses on to the diagnostics lab and aims to have them tested. What is the procedure for that? Did you have a veterinarian do it, or were you able to just make a contact and deliver the carcass?
Well, because the raccoon had not come in contact with any humans, then it wasn't necessary that I have the animal checked out for rabies. And furthermore, if you shoot them in the head, it does wreck the process for examining them. And so I just put him in cold storage until spring, and we'll make sure that he's properly handled when things start to thaw out a little bit.
Well, yeah, it's real tough to dig, bury anything when there's 3 feet of snow on top of it. Do you have, or you plan to bury the entire carcass?
Well, that or perhaps cremate him, because we've had an ice storm, and I have all kinds of branches down all over the yard. We will have a big brush pile in the spring, and that might be a real good time to do this the Indian way.
That would be acceptable in Iowa.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There have been suggestions that perhaps there might be some interest in retaining the hide as some sort of memento. Do you have any plans for anything like that?
You know, I'm open to suggestions, but now that you bring that up, it does occur to me that perhaps mounting him would be a good idea. I was doing a meeting with middle school students in Sioux City just yesterday. It'd be 8th grade students mostly. And one of the 300 students, a young girl, came with a coonskin cap on. And so she was a little worried that I would get mad about that. No, come on down front, we'll take your picture. So maybe I need my own coonskin cap and I can go back to the middle school in Sioux City.
I bet you could find someone that would do it for you.
I think all we have to do is put the request out on the web, and today we have real-time communications.
We
I was just remarking on the way down the escalator a few minutes ago that CPAC is the very best convention in the country. It has elements of conservatism across the board, and I think if there's a message for the people that are running for office today and the direction of the country, and that is that constitutional conservatives are now in charge of this country. And what has happened is people will say, be critical, and they will say, Steve, you're not working in a bipartisan fashion. You're not compromising with the president or the majority party. No, I'm not. I don't compromise with people that are pushing socialist ideas. And furthermore, the political center in America has changed and it's shifted. They want fiscal responsibility. They want a constitutional government. The election hasn't caught up with the shift in the moods of the people. So we'll get that ratified in November. Meanwhile, a lot of relationships are being built here at CPAC. I just finished speaking to a group of college Republicans, the presidents of their respective state chapters, and there are young people that are the beginning, the generations of the new revolution are being trained here. They're learning and building bonds with people who believe in the same thing that they do. They're building networks with organizations. This is something that multiplies and emanates across the country, and the energy that comes from CPAC, I draw a lot of energy from CPAC, and I'm looking forward to spending the next 2 days here. My tank will be so full when this is done, you won't be able to hold me back.
Isn't that exciting? I had someone earlier today suggest that CPAC is kind of like the Iowa State Fair for conservatives without the yardsticks. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think so, and maybe we don't have corn dogs here either, but it is. It's a big conservative fair, and when you walk down through these booths, you find representatives of conservative thought. They do all fit together. There's a compatibility, and there's a uniqueness to everyone as well. And I think the element that we see this year that we haven't seen in the past is the element of the Tea Party patriots, and so that's something that pervades most everything that's going on here. And I certainly encourage all of the Tea Party groups that are out there to use your energy, come together, and save this country from some of the hidebound politicians that we've had in office.